Okay.
There's that one right here, that's one just colored that. Alright, here we go.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'll call the Board of Water Wastewater Commissioners meeting agenda for the Harwich Wastewater Department at 196 Chatham Road, Harwich, Mass, Wednesday, June 30th, 2021 at 1 p.m. to order. The consent agenda for the minutes of June 9th and June 24th aren't ready yet, so we're gonna push that back. We have no abatements. And then next up is the public hearing presentation for the discussion and possible vote to approve the increase to water rates and fees scheduled for 1 p.m. So today is Wednesday, June 30th at 2021 at 1 p.m. The purpose of this hearing is to receive public input regarding the proposed new water rates established by the Board of Water Wastewater Commissioners. Proposed new rates and fees are as follows. Base rate quarterly, $45, 1,000 to 8,000 gallons, $1.35 per 1,000 gallons. 8,001 gallons to 15,000 gallons is $2.78 per 1,000 gallons. 15,001 gallons to 40,000 gallons, $4.15 per 1,000 gallons. And 40,001 plus remaining gallons is $6.01 per 1,000 gallons. The proposed rates are available for viewing on the Water Department's website, harwichwater.com, and hard copies are available at the Water Department office at 196 Chatham Road, Harwich, Mass, and also at the Town Clerk's office at 732 Main Street, Harwich, Mass. Interested parties were invited to attend, and written comments were due by noontime on Friday, June 25th, 2021. The proposed water rates would go into effect on July 1st, 2021. Dan,
Vote to go into the
vote.
public hearing?
I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. So the water rates were presented as the base rates and the new tier rates. Are there any discussion or public comment?
Yeah, can I just give a kind of a background of everything we got to up to this
Sure.
point? So the proposed rate structure is the culmination of work that began over 3 years ago. After implementing quarterly billing in March of 2018, the board and department staff undertook a comprehensive review of the department's needs with respect to existing, future infrastructure upgrades, system redundancy, water production, and operating expenses, which yielded significant revisions to the department's capital plan, which was then adopted in September of 2018. Following the adoption of the new capital plan, the department completed a thorough analysis of future water use, revenue projections, and the department's ability to fund future operational and capital expenses. The result of this analysis indicated that the current water rates are not sufficient to support operations and capital needs beyond fiscal year 2021. Upon determining that a rate increase would be needed, the Water Commission evaluated 11 different water rate scenarios, which were referred to at the time as scenarios A through K. Each scenario was evaluated to determine their ability to sustain future needs of the department, and special consideration was given to revenue projections, retained earnings balance, existing and future debt, and affordability. Of the 11 rate scenarios, 5 were identified as viable options, of which scenario G, as was just read by the chair, was selected by the board for adoption. So that's a quick summary of how we got here.
All right. And all of the A through J are posted on the website and are available for public review?
And we have also video recordings of those meetings posted on YouTube and Channel 18, where we go through the full evaluation of all 11 scenarios. Which is our first meeting in August of 2020, and then the second meeting in August of 2020 was where we evaluated the 5, and the board settled on alternative G. So
Okay.
anyone looking into, or curious how we got
Right.
through those 11, those are great to look at.
And the analysis from Ty and Bond for G is also available
Yeah,
for the next 5, is it a 5-year, 7-year?
for, I believe we went out 7 or 8
7
years
years,
on
okay.
that. And,
All right.
and within those 2 meetings and on those presentations, there's a projection for, revenue, retained earnings, that evaluation of each one of those 11 scenarios.
And we have no one from the public here to speak, and then any correspondence?
Did not receive any correspondence.
All right, any further discussion?
No, sir.
I will. Just to make it easier for the public, I would say when they look at the rates that the proposed rates represent a 5% increase, and that is for 2 years, so that would be for FY22 and FY23. And at that point, things could be reevaluated as to whether they would stay the same or depending on capital projects and revenue needs if another increase was needed. But that's basically what it is an increase in the base rate and an increase of 5% for 2 years.
And if I can also add to that, I went and using the 2020 water use, calced what the whole town's bills would be under the new rate structure, and the average increase that people will see over the 10,000 accounts is about $54 annually.
And that's just from the tiers?
And the base rate.
And the base rate, okay, good, okay. John? Are you good?
I'm all set.
All right. So at this time, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the proposed water rates as proposed for the coming two fiscal years,
To go into effect for July 2021.
starting July 1, 2021.
So we have a
Yeah.
motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll put it to a vote, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 All right, well, thank you very much. I know this has been a long time coming. With COVID, we actually pushed off the rate increase. Obviously, it was the right thing to do. So there's been a lot of work to get a fair rate and to sustain our capital plan at the same time. So it was a lot of work put into this, and it wasn't done lightheartedly. So again, I just want to thank everyone for their efforts on this.
Could I say, Gary, too, did you tell me that the water rates had not been increased prior to this for 5 years?
Since I've been here, so that's 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been here 6 years already.
Well, so was Dan. We started together, Dan and I.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So, all right, great. So let's move on to the wastewater superintendent evaluation. So, again, this is a tricky document to navigate and to get a fair score on. Dan, do you want to start off with your self-evaluation first?
Yeah, so I guess I haven't had a chance to do it.
Okay.
And it was I was attempting to get it done before today, but yesterday really got away. We were trying to fill the tank, and we were on till beyond midnight, so didn't happen.
Did you sleep here last night?
No, slept at home, but
Jeez, all right.
so I didn't have the opportunity to complete it. I will make sure I get it done, obviously, for the next one.
You're just waiting to see what we turn in.
All right. So you don't have your evaluation. That's fine. I will just. Okay. So in years past, we've all done our individual evaluations. Those will be turned in to Dan's file along with his evaluation. But at this point, we'll do one group evaluation, and that'll be the board's evaluation that will also go into Dan's.
These get turned into Sandra. She compiles.
Yeah, she puts it.
compiles
Yeah.
it all
Yeah.
and reports back.
Right. So starting off with the goals and objectives, we did five goals and objectives last year, which I think is too many. I mean, especially going into with wastewater now, I think 3 might be fair, like 1 water, 1 wastewater, maybe 1 whatever the board determines. I think that might be reasonable on top of whatever other projects come up.
Yeah.
So if that's a fair option for the board. So for the first one, design and construct a Pleasant Lake tank upgrades, that was completed. The install of the generator at T1 was not done due to COVID. The redesign flushing program, new roads, address existing flow issues, wasn't really done with, we put water restrictions in, and then time just, again, didn't.
Time hasn't been kind to me this year.
Well, plus the whole implementation of wastewater. Yeah. The DWSP grant for land acquisition relative to the water source resource protection, that was approved at a town meeting. And then the 5A capital plan amendment and 5B, the well exploration off the Northwest Great Road was approved. So those are the goals for this year. Going forward, the next section is pretty self-explanatory. We have the employees' feedback, and really, I try to go by pretty much what the employees' feedback is. I mean, they work with you on a day-to-day basis. It was all relatively positive feedback. Again, we have complaint letters of commendation. We have a few letters of commendation we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
That will you can add that into the file. And then the extra credit points, has the employee come up with any cost-saving ideas, solutions within the fiscal year? Like Noreen brought up at our last meeting, the $50,000 from the wastewater operations. And then with the Harwich Water Department employees working on the outside exterior part of the peeling tank, that was probably about a $200,000 savings. And then has the employee obtained any grants and performance incentives, the DRI form, from the Cape Cod Commission, which is approximately another $70,000. And then lastly, and these are all one point. And then lastly was has the employee been able to turn back any funds in the prior fiscal year? And that was the FY20 $465,865 that was turned back.
Could I add one?
Yes.
Back to the one above it about grants and incentives. I don't think that I'm just speculating, but I don't think the Cape Cod Commission would have granted that $5 million out of its pool of rental money if Dan hadn't been one of the forces to get us in the position where we are now on wastewater. So
I agree.
I feel there was definitely a hand in that pick with all the other towns competing for it. So
I agree. So on my evaluation overall rating, I gave them exceeds expectations. I'm sorry, exceptional. There's too many E's and X's and M's and E's. So going forward for 2021 for goals, does the board have any thoughts for goals? For at least one water, one wastewater, and maybe one if time? Because how do you feel, Dan? Do you think 5 goals is a lot, especially right now with the wastewater going on?
And the form originally had 3, and we added some because we're getting a lot done, right. which is good. And 3 or 5, I'm gonna try to do everything I can either way. So I guess I just got to think about what's realistic with respect to the goals.
Right.
Because for example, the hydrant flushing book, right? I want to do that in-house for a couple of reasons. 1, we need to update the flushing book. 2, if we can do it in-house, we don't have to pay someone to do it. 3, I want to learn how to do it on our GIS program.
Can you just go quick what GIS is? Yeah,
so we have Esri is the GIS platform, and that is used within our work order system. So all of our water system maps that are digital, we can go out and click a water main, see what size it is, pull down the service tie card, things like that. So Esri is the program that informs our work order software, but we also have a license for the software itself, which can be used as a powerful tool for I've used it in creating wastewater maps, doing wastewater flows. It's super powerful. It's also what they use for like the electric utility when the outage maps. So I wanted to be able to build it really intimately with the staff who flushed and know where we were having flow issues and things like that. I do have a learning curve because I don't have formal education in Esri, but I'm confident that I can do it. It's been just kind of one of those things that I haven't had the time to get through the learning curve to get it done. And it's that I guess I would consider one of those possible goals.
Okay.
We're still flushing. It's not like we haven't been doing our obligated flushing, we're kind of taking it as each season, Steve and I have been sitting down and saying, okay, where do we want to go, really in the interim until we can rebuild the book itself. If that is clear.
Okay, yeah.
Over the years, what's been troubling, it seems to me, with the flushing, is the lack of valves to shut off certain areas.
Yeah.
And so would this program help you to go around that?
Yes. Well, it's really, the program won't do it for me.
No.
And that's really what it is. So when we want to do a unidirectional flushing program. And what that means is, we're going to start at a tank and push the water in one direction and you have to achieve scouring velocity. So we got to move the water, quickly through the pipe, and that will pull off any iron and manganese that's accumulated there. So we really got to pick a tank and pick a route. And as we're developing that route, select which gate valves are going to isolate to give us that unidirection that we need to achieve. Mm-hmm. So it won't do it for us, but it's easier to zoom in on the computer and find the valves and things like that than on the paper map, which I had attempted before.
Okay. So that's one possible.
Yeah, and I really want to get that done.
All right. So one that needs to be done. One goal.
I mean, I'm trying to think of one with respect to activating the sewer collection system. There's still a degree of work that needs to be done between now and us taking another the first customer online. It's, I guess, could be considered short term, but it's going to be a pretty decent undertaking over the next 3-4 months as we get this moving.
It seems like, just if you want to call it oversight or whatever, but oversight of the actual process of connecting whatever the first 10 or 20 will be. That's when all the possible pitfalls will come out, and we'll find out forms that we should have had and didn't have, or forms that might be able to be clearer, or just the whole what staff needs you're going to have, what billing needs. I mean, are you set up for billing?
Yeah, we have. I know Wellesley took a class with Munis, our financial software, so we're getting there. We have a draft application. I know we're working on the final sewer service application form, the irrigation sewer deduct meter form, because I believe that once someone's going to be applying for sewer service, the irrigation deduct meter is going to be coming, if not the same time, immediately after. So getting all those closed up.
I mean, I would say oversight always sounds, too mushy. Maybe just management of the the startup wastewater connections.
And we could bundle that too with, CWMP and, the more bigger picture wastewater items.
Yeah.
I think that those conversations are going to be picking up, at the board level with respect to DHY, East Harwich, what we're doing next. I'm hoping that we'll be able to request some funding. I hear talks about a potential fall town meeting. I know the election for the passing of Selectman Ford. I believe they're going to be doing a special town meeting after that. So I'm hopeful that we could get funding, to have GHD help, actually get the ball moving on the CWMP revision process.
I don't remember all the fiscal rules. I'm retired a few years now, but I'm not aware that you can get new funding during a special town meeting unless it's a debt exclusion or something like that, which would mean another election, because if the tax rate's already set, then unless you get money transferred to you.
It could be from free cash or retained earnings.
Okay, so there's a few extra wrinkles on, yeah, that's right, free cash.
All right, so let's do possible flushing, right? The wastewater hookup. And you said the flushing was possible, and then one more.
I mean, the big, I would like to see, I mean, for me, you know, Route 28 and the well exploration,
Right.
you know, are real big. They won't be completed this year, but, you know, I think considerable progress could be made.
Well,
Okay, no, go ahead.
it almost seems like that has to be one, because since DOT is possibly planning on FY '24,
Right.
nobody can take their eye off that ball for even 20 seconds, you
Right.
know.
Right, I would say 28 is priority.
Right.
So let's
For
go,
next year.
yeah, so let's go with 28.
I missed that.
We were just talking about a goal to be accomplished for the next year, and the Route 28, because the DOT is planning on doing that road resurfacing,
Yeah.
trying to get that done,
Yeah, I
and
got
save
that.
whatever money we can get before
Yeah.
that gets done. So it's the
Okay.
Route 28 water main project.
Yeah, okay.
I'm hoping, you know, too, that as, you know, talks of infrastructure bills come to fruition, that, you know, we'll be poised to get some of that money. I think we're in a good position now. Funding becomes available, you know, July 1 tomorrow. If we can make good progress on the design plans, and we have a shovel-ready project when that funding becomes, if and when the funding becomes available, we'd be in a pretty good spot to get it.
Let me ask, if funding didn't come that way, although, you know, I hope there's a good chance, while we're still getting familiar with the water department's capital plan and everything, would there be enough funding and retained earnings for that project? It doesn't seem.
Not fully.
Right.
I'd have to look back at the form when we built it,
Right,
because when we had structured the capital plan, you know, 2018-19, we had projected, the board had voted a policy of, you know, collecting 10% surplus revenue to fund the enterprise fund for capital. And when we went through and identified the 10 years of capital plans, we tried to kind of cherry pick, well, if this project's going to be $5 million, we'll have $1.5 million in retained earnings. We can use that balance and only take out, you know, 2.5 in debt or something to that effect. So I don't know exactly what we had projected off the top of my head, but I want to say that we had
right.
putting some retained earnings towards it and then bonding the remaining portion.
So, I mean, again, a little speculation, but it seems like there would probably be a need for an article one way or the other, either funded by water or funded or some other method next May of 2022, because otherwise it would be going up too close to the deadline. So we should probably plan on a Route 28 article for that town meeting.
All right, so we have our 3 objectives for 21. Okay. All right, so going forward, just to wrap up the board's evaluation for section 2. So for the job success factors from 1 through 8 here, I mean, I gave Dan a 6 on all except for the communication, just to hold more maybe weekly or morning meetings, just for so everyone knows, everyone's on the same page. So I mean, that's the only thing I would add on. Does anybody have anything about that section?
I have a bunch of 6s and a few 5s.
Okay.
But remember, John and I just, came on board, so a lot is,
Right. Alan?
Yeah, I got 4 5s and 6s.
4s. He's tough.
Well, you gotta give them room to grow.
I guess 6 5s and 2 6s.
All right.
3 6s.
So I would say the overall average would be 4 to 5s.
I think they're gonna be around for another year.
I see you doing an okay job. So we'll turn these in. If you can get your evaluation in, Sandy can do a group average of our scores.
Yeah.
We can have that discussion at our following meeting. As far as that, your current step is an 8, and the recommended next step this is step 9.
Yeah, and I guess I would ask the board, so right now I'm presently within the personnel bylaw, under the town's employment agreements. And I would ask the board if they would want to entertain doing like a multi-year contract, 3 or 5 or whatever we're able to do. The town, there are a couple of reasons. There's mutual benefits, obviously. Would have a clear path. And with respect to the town, there's benefits where, right now, technically all I owe is 2 weeks if I was to get in that position. This would protect the town in that, there would be termination clause, whether it be 6 months or otherwise. Another component, I called Joe, town administrator, to see, because I was intending on seeing if the board would consider a vehicle stipend, primarily because I'm using my truck, for work every day mostly. We do have a cruiser here, but more often than not, when I go out to try to use it, it's dead and can't use it. Joe informed me that is not possible through my position in the personnel bylaw because the benefits are governed by that bylaw, and that if we wanted to do that it would require an employment contract. So I guess I would put that out as food for thought.
Well, we've had a conversation of the pros and cons. I believe in paying people their value, and it seems that we can only go so far with Dan being in the personnel bylaws. I think it's a benefit, especially for us and for Dan, like you said, that Dan has security, knowing that he has a position here, and that the town knows that we have someone here for the contract. And again, like you said, if there were, for whatever reasons that he wanted to leave or we wanted him to leave, it'd be in the contract and would protect both of us. So I'm in favor of having that discussion to remove that position out of the bylaws and going into a contract with Dan. And what's the board's pleasure?
I definitely would like to look at the contract side of things. I think it's a very deserving situation there. And to keep him here, like I say, he came, and little didn't we know the gem that we were getting. But you know what? He's bright and shining and doing a first-class job, and I hate to see him go down the road. He lives over the bridge, and to have an agreement on a vehicle and all of that stuff, believe me, I want to keep him here as long as I'm coming to the long meetings.
I would definitely be in favor. We have a proven employee, and we're in the middle of a bunch of startup things. So anything we can do to, increase stability would be wonderful. What would the process be?
So I reached out to the chair of the select board because it would require a charter change. So I had to talk with the chair at the select board. He would have to have a discussion with his board if they would be in favor of changing the charter, removing Dan from the personal bylaw. And I say Dan, it's the superintendent's position. Right. And putting that position into a contractual position with the wastewater commissioners. So that would be the process to do that. So it will take a little time. But if it's the board's pleasure, if they would authorize by a vote either the chair or a representative of the wastewater commissioners, and then a chair, a representative from the select board, and then Joe and Dan, we could meet, have a discussion about the contract, come up with a contract, go back to our respective boards, have the boards vote on that, so we can get Dan up and running for some kind of pay and contract, and then move forward with the change to the bylaw to remove him and get that contractual position set up. That's the thought process. I mean, if that's what both boards want to do.
Yeah.
I noticed that they just refilled the positions on the charter committee just like a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So it would be great to get this idea in front of them earlier on, you know, because
Right.
those charter changes take so long even
Right.
to discuss in code, because we would want to, if we go forward in that direction, we'd want to see that also on next May's
Right.
town meeting.
Yeah, I mean, not only the charter committee, but personnel board needs to sign on.
Right,
Right.
So there's a lot of steps.
yeah.
I
So at this point, I mean, go on with what's here now and approve the next step up for him
Right.
and then get going. So I don't see any contract until probably spring of next year.
Right. Well, that's
Yeah.
right. But and again, right now we can still do his pay step increase or whatever to what we feel is
Right.
appropriate for the work that Dan's doing. But again, just so we can move forward and try to get him into a contractual position. So that's the thought process.
Well, that's probably your top step. How many steps are there?
It's 10.
Oh, okay, so there's
There's one more, yeah. John?
I'm with you.
All right. All right. So moving forward for today, Dan's next step would be a step 9. I would recommend that Dan would go to a step 10. And that would be, 131?
Yeah, in change. I don't know what
Change.
the last 3 digits are.
So that's what you're saying to do now?
I'm recommending that for today. Just, he's we can't do a vehicle stipend. We don't have a vehicle for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
no,
what-
that's fine.
That'll offset the vehicle cost. We're
Sure.
talking, I think it was $5,000 more than this. So 133,000, I think it was, and change.
And Mr. Chairman, I move that step 10.
For step 10, okay. Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, put it to a vote. All in favor?
aye.
So would the board approve either the chair or a member of the board meeting with the member of the select board, the town administrator, and Dan to start the process of discussion of contracts? So we can get the ball rolling on that.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any other discussion? And obviously, just for the record, by authorizing a member or the chair to act on behalf, there's no way giving that person the authority to vote on behalf of the board. It's just to put a contract together and bring it back to the board for a vote.
This will be working through the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Put that to a vote. All in favor?
All right?
Aye.
All right. And it looks like the last order of business is board reorganization. Dan, before we go on to that, was Judith able to get her evaluation in, do you know?
I didn't see it.
All right.
I'm not sure.
Just for our next meeting, if you could have your evaluation done and
Yeah.
have the board's evaluation, and just so
Close
we
the
have it. Yeah, all right. So the board's reorganization.
Status quo.
If that's the board's pleasure.
I'm fine.
could I ask one question?
Yeah.
What are the duties of the clerk?
Honestly, I was thinking of that today, and it's really just titles. I mean, the members don't do them. I honestly think it should be
Don't say
changed.
the members don't do anything.
I'm sorry. According to their titles, I should say, because we have one that says secretary, we have Tracy,
Right,
one says clerk. I mean, honestly, I think we should have, at this point, now that we have 5 members, I think we should have a chair and a co-chair. In the event that the chair isn't here to fulfill the duties.
Yeah,
And members.
the only thing I've done, serving as a clerk, I signed one document this year.
Yeah, because I wasn't available.
Yeah.
To
no,
sign.
I didn't know, some committees, the clerk has a lot of work to do, and, but I know we have.
Not that I sublet it.
Yeah.
Um,
The office staff really, they
Right.
do most of the work.
So I didn't know if that was like a learning opportunity for John and I, but I'm totally happy with the status quo. So,
But I do think we do need to change on our minutes, and if that's signed, there's only a place for 3 signatures, especially on the valuation, there's only a place for 3 signatures. But I do believe it should change from, and I don't know if we even have the authority to do that, if that's a charter change.
well, do you have a vice chair now?
You
No,
know,
we have clerk,
What
the
do you
clerk-
have? You have,
chair, clerk, and secretary.
okay.
thought there
Or Judith is vice.
Oh, it's Judith is vice,
Yeah.
okay. So it's chair, vice, clerk.
Okay.
The
So then
selectman says chair, vice, clerk.
Member?
Member?
Yeah,
I think
that's probably what it
I'm
is.
a
So
member.
yeah, I mean, we could do something like
Right.
that. So if you want, I would like to see, if Alan wants to do it, or if one of the new members want to do the vice chair or clerk. Just 'cause I know Judith has a lot going on too.
I would say no to the vice chair right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because,
no to me. I don't
yeah,
know.
there's
I'm still on a
times-
learning curve.
all right.
There's times when people might have to, at a board of selectmen meeting or something, speak,
Right.
and there's too many issues in the water and,
Do you know, I think you need to go through the charter commission also.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because
I believe you do.
all right,
Because these positions were set up
right.
when the charter was.
So we'll leave the names the way they are. We'll just add member.
Add that to the list.
But I would nominate Alan for vice chair. Is there a second?
second, of course.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Did we also approve the chair?
Oh, no, we didn't do that.
Oh, yeah.
So is there
I nominate Gary for chairman.
Second.
any discussion? Anybody want to talk about that? All right, hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah. Superintendent's report.
So I have one thing.
So, but should we fill the clerk one anyway, because
sorry.
that's on the charter?
So Noreen, do you
I
want to?
move that Noreen become the new clerk.
I second that,
All right,
and we'll put that to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
thank you.
Yeah, you've certainly shown you're capable. So
Oh, thank you. Give it
All
a
right.
little more time, you might regret those words.
absolutely, you know what? Absolutely not.
All right.
Do you know what?
Absolutely
We've
not.
been hanging around together for a long time.
You, Alan, and I have been.
That might be the problem.
I haven't
That might be the
regretted a day.
Ah, isn't that sweet?
That might be
Thank
the
you,
problem.
Alan, that's very sweet.
No, you're first class in my book.
Okay.
Dan, what do you have for superintendent?
Yeah, so I received correspondence from the fire chief today regarding their use of fire department foam, firefighting foam. So this is good news. The fire department is no longer using, let's see, Class B foam. Class B foam is what contains the perfluorinated PFAS compounds. So they've eliminated the use of that. And they've disposed of it through DEP, and they're using a more environmentally friendly foam. So they haven't had to deploy foam in some time. Even when we had the tanker flip over in front of Shaw's, they charged it, but they never deployed it. But this is just another step in.
So what are they? So they removed that from the foam? So
They
still.
they removed use of that foam.
Oh, all right. And
So
they
they're not
replaced it
gonna
with
be-
another type of foam.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
So they're no longer going to be using foam with PFAS or
Does
PFOA.
the old one have PFAs?
Yeah,
And this new one
does not.
has PF something?
No, it's a
No PFs?
environmentally. So the department had purchased a new Class B foam product that can be used on all Class A fires. So Class A fires are house fires, brush fires. The product not only simplifies their operations because they're only using one foam now, but also streamlines resupply, reinsures that all foam that they use is environmentally friendly. So, when I talked to Dave, one of the things he and I talked about this a month or so ago, and, they're here to protect, save people, in when you're using foam that's now known to have, harmful compounds in it, are we really meeting that goal? So they made themselves made the call to eliminate use of that substance and substitute with a more environmentally friendly one. So they were able to get a lot of the old foam taken for free from DEP, and then I think foam over a certain age DEP would dispose of, and any newer foam they're in the process of getting rid of through that same vendor.
That's great.
So
All right.
figured good news on that front. So. Also, yeah, I guess I got more. The P Lake tank is now in the process of being filled up. We have about 1 to 2 more feet to go. We hope to top that off after this meeting. We will give that a day to sit as required through AWWA standards, and then we'll be taking the bacteria test once, and if that comes back clean, we'll be able to have that tank back online by the end of the week.
And that's filled with a new pipe going
Yes,
up?
new pipe.
And how'd that go?
Great.
Oh, it was, it's really great.
If I can show you something, it's gonna be a little hard to see. Let me 1 second. So we're already seeing, so this blue line is the tank that we're filling right now.
Okay.
One of the problems that we had, if you recall, before we started, new members weren't here, but before we started, the reason we did this project is because the fill pipe going into that tank was too small. And as a result, there were two main issues. One, we couldn't fill the tank all the way. And two, if we did try to fill it, because the pipe was so small, we're trying to jam all that water in there, it's over-pressurizing the distribution system. And what that resulted in is an artificial water elevation in the tank. And that can be seen if we go back to last summer. Let's go July. See these big jumps? That is indicative of a pump turning off, pump turning on, a valve closing. Anything that we did in the water system would result in these big spikes, which prevented us from using the Pleasant Lake tank as the lead tank to control our pumping operations. So we were limited. If we had a bacteria hit at the 39 tank and had to isolate it, it would have been difficult to operate the system. We could have done it, but it wouldn't have run smoothly, given what we experience here. So you can see when we go looking from July of last year to today, we're seeing a full smooth line
Oh,
there.
yeah, wow.
So that is a great sign.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is with, last night, we're trying to, the thing with filling the tank and getting it chlorinated and tested is we have to fill the tank, no water can come out of it. So we got to make sure we got pumps staying on, that we're not over pressurizing the system, that we're not wasting too much water on the other tank, trying to top this one off. And it was just it was a long day, but we got it. So we're hopefully by the end of the week that will be on. And
So you're using that to control the whole system, that
Yeah.
tank?
right now we're using the 39 tank to control everything. But this will give us additional redundancy in case we ever have an issue with one tank or the other. We can switch interchangeably, which we couldn't have done before.
And how's it going on the outside exterior work?
Exterior work, we installed all the pipe, I think we looked at 2 meetings ago, and we haven't picked up yet. We've got end of year, low staff. So the plan is to pick up from there and run that 24-inch main from where we left out to where we're connecting by the highway. So this fall we can isolate the tank from the inside and just cut that T-assembly in, and then the whole project will have been completed.
It's quite a job there with the
Yeah.
staff doing the whole main work there.
Especially doing it in-house.
Yeah,
Saving a lot.
that was great.
So what do you think the finish date will be on that? If all goes well.
They still got a couple weeks after that of just, clean up, touch up. They gotta, where the new pipe penetrated the ceiling in the control room, they have to touch up the drywall around that. But they should be out of here pretty quick.
All right. Anything else?
There's probably-
Yeah.
Anything else? I think that's it.
All right. Anybody have anything for superintendent?
Sorry, one more.
You almost missed your opportunity.
I was able to get the agreement signed with Weston and Sampson for them to attend the startup and training for the wastewater pump station, so that Came back from the finance director this week and back to Weston and Sampson. So we have our first functional demonstration test on July 8th for the Robert Hour pump stations. So that's kind of the first step, and then we have to do a full test out with DEP prior to being able to put that online. It looks like their contract was originally, I think, ended on July 15th. I think I talked to Abby today. I think they're going to be looking for a small extension, and it's really just to coordinate the training, because there's like 14 different vendors that are coming from around the country to fly in and conduct the training. So we're going to have Channel 18 record it as well. So if we get new staff or different firm ends up operating, Chatham, Harwich, that we'll be able to provide them with that same training. So
Awesome.
that's it.
Is that it? All right, Commissioners report. Mr. Thompson, you have anything?
I'm good.
Noreen?
Great.
John?
Good.
All right, and we have our next scheduled meeting for Thursday, July 15th at 11 a.m. That's still good with everybody.
And that's the sewer rate hearing.
Sewer rate hearing. Yep. And that's our next meeting, so you'll have
Yes.
we'll have the evaluations, and we can put, Judith should be here, so we can put that abatement back on for July 15th. Yep, okay. All right, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Too bad you don't have like a remote switch to